Good afternoon or evening, I guess, everybody. This is Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day. Enjoying life, living life, loving life. Wanted to talk to everybody tonight about redundancy as well as a few other things. And I'm hoping I chose a good word to clarify what we're doing here. Because if you see in the text of the post above, you see that it's redundancy. And when we break down the sounds, we can see we can form it into other things. And that's what we need to do. We need to start breaking these things down. We need to break the words down literally on paper and verbally. And one of the good words is revenue. Revenue. Is it pronounced revenue or is it revenue? Revenue. Well, let's think about that. Venue. What's the root word of venue? That would be V-E-N. Veen. Well, when we think about veen, we think about intervene, convene, things like that. And so when we start breaking down these words and we see what we can see with them, we can unread and see. Redundancy. You can read and you can unread and see. But once you learn how to read, what are you learning how to read? Are you learning how to read Babel so it's all redundant? You're just saying the same shit over and over again? Or are you using your own mind and coming up with an invention? Oh, there's that root word again, veen. Well, what are we doing with an invention? We're convening our own thoughts. And then we meet with other minds and we convene with our thoughts. So now we have an invention, and then we have a convention, and then we have all these fucking authorities that are all involved in prevention. Prevention? Oh my! There's another stickler. Prevention. What are they doing? They're prevening your thoughts. They're telling you what to do. They're telling you what to say. They're telling you how to act. They're programming you. And so when we learn how to unread and see, we can get out of the redundancy. We can learn how to start doing things correctly. So I want people to think about this stuff and start learning these words and get a concise English handbook. Because like I said, when you learn how to unread and see, what you can do is with a concise English handbook, right in the very beginning of it, they have a proofreading ledger. It tells you all the different symbols to use for all the different errors that they have. So once you learn all the different errors, you can go to that ledger and proofread their shit. And when you proofread it and put your key little marks on their documents, destroying the literature of their documents as being unlegible according to concise English, meaning that you can't understand it. It's not comprehensible. Then you've unsaid what they wrote. Unread, and they can see. So anyway, hoping everybody's having a good day. Doing what you need to, doing good works, and remember, all that origin comes back to yourself. You need a revention. You need to revenue yourself. Revene. Think about that stuff and remember, love thy God with all thy heart, body, and soul. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Almighty God. So long as you follow my way, ye shall be blameless. So when we follow our government rulers, it's because they're supposed to be under that same theory, spiritual theory of I am Almighty God, so long as you follow my way, you shall be blameless. They shall be blameless so long as they follow the God, the inherent common law of the people, the Spirit. And what they're doing today is not with the spirit of the people. So think about this stuff and hopefully you comprehend that you need to get back to yourself and know that yes, the origin of all. There's my brother. I was just telling him about this word, redundancy. You kind of turned me on to that the other day, and I looked at it a couple more times, and I got to started thinking about, well, if we get back to the origin, well, that origin is our own thought, okay? And this is the thing about creating your own future. This is the thing about the AI, artificial intelligence, will have nothing on man ever at any point in time because it cannot imagine. It cannot go within itself because it doesn't have itself. It is programmed from external information from a live being. And if the live being doesn't put information into it externally, it gets to a point where it can no longer exist. So we got to think about that stuff and think about where all the origins come from, and that's from our own selves. And so when it comes down to these words, we got to unread and see. Quit following the words on papers. Quit following the stupidity of believing that the only way you're going to be able to exist in life is by taking advantage, by using a commercial system that depends on profits and can only get those profits by taking advantage of your fellow man. That's a fraud of the fictional commercial system. It's the greed of other men taking advantage of other men in order to live a better life than other men because they've got you all concerned about these materialistic things, about keeping up with the Joneses and having nice things like the Joneses. Instead of living off the land and having a root cellar, you've got a nice 4,500 square foot home with a kitchen with a center island and a huge refrigerator and walk-in freezer and all this. That's not what it's about. If you're taking excess in things that are destroying the natural environment and stuff, using things such as Freon that are then being released in the environment in mass amounts that are causing breathing issues and things like that within your own culture and within other aspects of life, then you're not really living a good stewarding fellowship of man or fellowship of all, as Brother Robert says, origin all. It's not, when we talk about a universe, we talk about the song of yourself. When we talk about a multiverse, we're talking about the song of you and everybody else around you. When we talk about the song of the omniverse, we're talking about the song of everything, the all, the omniscient, the omnipotent, omnipresent life. And the only way it can continue to grow is by growing in love. When you grow in death by fearing things and knowing that death is coming, then you're looking at death as a instantaneous moment rather than appreciating the aspect that we come from death. It is only through the death of other life that we exist today. And it's our life today and the good works that we do in it that help provide the positive energy to spur on other life. and spreads that energy better rather than being a negative energy that sucks it all up and absorbs it, particularly through a commercial system. It's the difference between a profit and prosperity. So think about this stuff, people, and yes, makes us the battery. We are and the commercial system parallels that. The commercial system in natural life, we are a battery. We are a transfer of energy. We let the energy pass through us, just like a battery does. Once that circuit is closed, the energy can pass. And that's all it is. It's a switch that connects to a battery. Okay? Us, that switch is always on while we're alive. Once that switch gets cut off, then we no longer exist in a battery form. That energy is still usable. It is still transferable in different ways. And so that death process is a process. It's not an instantaneous moment. It happens and occurs. And as life is death, death is life. I am in death and I am in life. And that's the spirit of everything. I don't exist just today. I existed 1,000,000 years ago. And if I die tomorrow, I still exist 1,000,000 years from now. We breathe the oxygen that flowed from King Tutankhamun's tomb. We eat the same nutrients that they ate. It's all passing around in the cycle of life. We're all part of it. And if we can't comprehend that on that minute of a scale to realize in concept of the butterfly effect how much effect that we can have on the rest of life, then we'll never see our own value. We'll never realize our own par value. I spoke about this in a video yesterday or the day before. Extrinsic value, intrinsic value, and par value. We'll never realize that par value in like I said, that concept of the butterfly effect. What little things that we do today have such great effect tomorrow. When I was younger, I was a Boy Scout, and I was told to do a good turn daily. And today, my concept of that, I really wish it would have been ingrained in maybe a different aspect, because today I don't see it as doing a good turn daily. And I don't want to make it sound like those that go to church on Sundays go to church and they're all faithful and believing on that one day, and then they've got 6 days to commit sin because then they can go get forgiveness on Sunday. But in the Boy Scout aspect, I was told to do a good turn daily, and in my adult life, I see that I should have been doing good turns all day long. Every turn should be good. I should have been doing good works entirely and not let any bad works enter into my house. And don't misconstrue me. Mistakes are mistakes. Errors are errors. We stray from paths sometimes, and we get caught up in the visual. Particularly, guys, we're very visual, and so we get caught up in the visual aspect of nice looking things. That's why we like women with certain body shapes. Whereas women, they don't care so much about body shapes, I don't think. They care more about the introspective characters of each man. Are they trustworthy and things like that? And so today, it's more of make sure that everything that I do is being in a good effort. And not just for myself, but for my neighbor. Love thy neighbor as myself. And hopefully my neighbor believes the same thing. And even if he doesn't, I have to give him that same respect in allowing him to have his rights as I have my rights. And they may not be the same. They're not viewed the same. So he might believe he's got different rights. I have to discern for myself whether those rights are an infringement upon mine or detrimental to me. And if they're not, then I can't. I have to disassociate or do whatever it takes to at least not infringe and not harm. Let that other being exist. And notice I said being. It's I don't want to categorize anybody as even a man or a woman or anything. That's one of those things that we get into simply because we've got this context of written language, or this discretion, this thing to discern those differences and say, well, we ought to treat them different then, and that just shows us a way to either be able to use it against each other, or show our capabilities of being able to accept them for those differences, and be able to work with them, even if we have to change for that. That's our acceptance. That's our true acceptance, being able to change. People get indoctrinated into believing that they have to get up at 6 o'clock so they can go get a job for this commercial system. There are certain duties that we need to apply to our lives to make certain that other characteristics are taken care of in a proper respect, so we can continue living a million years from now. Not just our physical bodies today, but our next generations. I see our next generations becoming enslaved and dying off, and that's the wrong. Granted, I don't see the human population dying off entirely unless the earth is completely destroyed, or when the earth is completely destroyed, and that leaves for quite a long possible existence. And so I don't see us destroying ourselves, but I do see us bottlenecking ourselves. There is a one world agenda to do exactly that. Reduce the population. At least that's what circulates on the internet and stuff. But again, I tell you, you create your own existence, and in doing so, you've got your own choices on paths to follow, and they don't have to be violent. You don't need to be going out to the streets to protest. Again, when it comes to prevention, then maybe we ought to start thinking about intervention and become inventive. Like Sun Tzu says in his Art of War, in order to defeat one's opponent without fighting is of supreme excellence. So if you find a better way of doing it than violence, then let's do it that way, And that's a direct lead. That's a direct hint, people. And I've said it for many years. Mankind's most powerful weapon is his own mind. His most useful and valuable tool, is his own mind. And if we learn how to use that correctly, we can prevent the intervention that the government imposes by their implications and that's all we got to do. Just get back down to the root words. Again, I'm going to tell you, get a concise English handbook. They're going to have, let's see here, what I have with it. Okay. Hans P. Goof, Concise English Handbook. And right inside, it's got an index there of all the different grammar errors that are pointed out. And first one, it says when it comes to abbreviations, point of clarification, I don't know this abbreviation. So anytime they abbreviate anything, you can put that in there. Anytime they stylize, I don't know if they've got something in here for style. It doesn't say, it just says spelling. But we can put an SP up there, /style, see authors, or see proofreader's notes. And then maybe put a note in the side margin, SY stands for style or something like that. Just give it your own little 2-letter abbreviation for style. So you can make a note that they're using all capital letters. So you can, point of clarification, style. What styles manual are you using here? And then it says the second one is adverb. Here's another one of my favorites is AGR, agreement. So anytime you come up with something that you don't agree with, again, like a point of clarification, I don't understand what you mean here. Is this revenue or revenue? And that's as simple as it comes. In beginning was word. Well, that's spelled the same way as revenue, isn't it? Is it revenue or revenue? And if it's revenue, shouldn't it have a hyphen in there? Meaning with venue, meaning that you had an original venue and now you're trying to revenue it, move it, disposition it. This is all stuff that you can use to try to point out. Point of clarification, I'm an idiot. And seriously, use it. I'm an idiot. All I know is concise English. What's this abbreviation? What's an adverb? Does that mean you added an extra verb to it? I don't know. Can you explain this to me? I got a concise English. Can you point that out to me? Think about this stuff, people. You don't even have to know the book. Just have it with you. Can you point it out to me? That's your source of law right there, people. One-to-one communication. That and a King James 1611 version edition of the King James Version Bible. About as close as you're going to get to anything they use in court. In 1984, Ronald Reagan said that the law is dependent. He made a law that the Bible is the law. Basically, you'll have to read it. I'll see if I can pull that up. It's even got next one. It says after agreement. It says apostrophe. If you know what an apostrophe is, you can use for clarification. That's for when they use contractions and stuff. You can clarify if it's a correct use of apostrophe. In relation to people's court, if they use an apostrophe, is it after the S or before the S? Is there an apostrophe when there shouldn't be an apostrophe? Is there not an apostrophe when there should be an apostrophe? Things like that. And then it says awkward. And it'll go in here. You can look this stuff up, I believe, in the back. Handbook key, index. Awkwardness. Pages 149 to 154. And so when we go to pages 149 to 154, it's going to talk to us about awkwardness and tell us awkward. There are many farmers in the area who are planning to attend the meeting, which is scheduled for next Friday. Improved. Many farmers in the area plan to attend the meeting scheduled for next Friday. So it comes down to a matter of looking at the script and finding out if there's a less ambiguous way to state something. In other words, something that you can say it more simply so that you get a better one-to-one communication with the common man who may just well be an idiot and need some clarification. So then the next one is capitalization. So again, we go back to spelling, style, capitalization. Are those capital English letters, or is that a particular style out of a particular style manual that a particular jurisdiction is using? And can you explain the nexus for that such use? What does it have to do with myself? Coherence. Layman terms. Coherence. Does the sentence structure stick together like we just spoke of in that one example of awkward? If it has a greater chance to be misconstrued, then it doesn't have a lot of coherency. It's hard to comprehend. You can't understand it. Is it coherent? I don't know. He wasn't talking very coherent. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Gene? Can you cohere that? Common splice. diction, development, division, dangling modifier, documentation. And this is all stuff you guys need to look up and get familiar with so you can use it against them. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Fuck you, it will! I'll not let you use words against me. You'll have to clarify them and show me the intent. Each and every word, each and every syllable, each and every consonant, each and every vowel, each and every sound. I want to make sure it's not redundancy. I don't babble. Sentence fragment, faulty parallelism, glossary, grammar, idiom, informal, lowercase, misplaced modifiers, non-standard, punctuation, new paragraph, no paragraph, reference, repetition, redundancy, sentence structure, subordination, shift in perspective, slang, spelling, tense. Is it a transitive verb or is it a verb? Or is it an adverb? Is it past tense, present tense, future tense? Transition. Did it transition from a verb to a noun? Wordiness, error, omission. And that's in the very front cover. Most of your common English handbooks will give you that guide for your proofreading. So once you get done, proofread the book and see if they stuck to their own grammar. So anyway, think about this stuff, people, and realize you need to unread and see what they've been teaching you. You need to unprogram yourself. Program. It's like prorating your weight. You're worth your weight in gold, huh? I don't know, what's the worth of gold? It keeps going up. Does that mean I'm worth more today than I was 1,000,000 years ago? What are you using for par value? Does it really have that intrinsic and extrinsic value? Or are those just redundancies? Think about it, people. Think about it, and I hope you become more aware of your entire surroundings, including everything you read, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch, taste, smell, everything you sense. We have many more senses than 5. Research that one. Just put in your search engine. How many senses do men really have? Do men have more than 5 senses? Precognizance. Precognizance. And remember, what was that movie, Pre-Crime? Can't remember what the name of it was. Had Tom Cruise in it. Pre-Crime. Pre-Crime. They had empaths. Yeah, think about that stuff. That's what I was talking about earlier with the AI. AI doesn't have an empathic ability. Doesn't have the emotional standard to see in the future that it could possibly hurt. It could cause a disturbance. So therefore, anything programmed into it by somebody that was disturbed could create a grand disturbance in the scheme of things. There you go, Minority Report. Yes. Yes. Minority Report, huh? Well, what's the Majority Report? Who are they calling the minority? So think about this stuff, people. Redundancy. Redundancy. Unread and see. Talk to you later. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. God bless. Have a great day. Bye.